All right, what's happening, everyone? I'm back recapping the 3-game 2s that we got to watch today. Grizzlies, Thunder, Bucks, Pacers, and the last one of the night that I just finished watching was the Wolves and Lakers. It was kind of a letdown. I thought it was going to be a close game. It ended up looking close at the end, but it really never got much closer than that. I mean, the Wolves ended up losing by 9, and I think that's the closest they pretty much got from the end of that first quarter. So the Lakers got off to the start you expected them to get off to. They took a big lead in the first quarter. Luka, again, this guy just always shows up in big moments when his team needs him. Did it with the Mavericks. He did it with the Lakers today. And he had 16 first quarter points. The team got off to a great start, a big lead right away. It was pretty much a 20-point game until the end of the third quarter. Wolves kind of started creeping back, and then the Lakers were able to hold them off. But I will say this. The Lakers looked exhausted. Reeves had his hands on his knees. Luka was tired by the end of the game. I mean, he was over there complaining at the refs the whole game. LeBron is just, he's up there a little bit in age, but I would argue, had probably the biggest player of the game. The Wolves actually, I think, cut it to maybe it was 9 or 7, if I'm not mistaken. And LeBron gets a steal, takes it all the way, gets the layup to go with about 2 minutes left. And that kind of put it out of reach for the Wolves. That was, at that point, the Wolves needed everything to go right for them. And LeBron making that steal, making that bucket kind of shut the door. A couple of things I want to talk about is just the fact that Rudy Gobert is a great defensive player, but watching him today is sometimes, I don't know how the Wolves coaches don't get upset. It's not even the fact that he gets picked on. They pick on him because he's a 7-footer. So obviously he can't move as quick as the guards. I get that. I get that completely. Literally every possession just seems like it's Luka trying to make a highlight of Rudy Gobert, which more times than not actually works in the Wolves' favor, because if he doesn't get to the lane and beat Gobert for a layup, he's taking a tough contested shot. That's all you can really do with Luka. And, Rudy does play pretty solid defense. But the one thing that just watching the game, I feel like he had butterfingers today. He left so many rebounds out there just by kind of playing soft, in my opinion. So I'm not sure if that's not even an X's and O's thing. I'm going to look and see how many rebounds, but he definitely, I don't think, sniffed 10 rebounds tonight. He ended up with 6 rebounds. So you are a 7-footer. There was one lineup at the end of the third quarter, and I looked. Rui Hachimura was the tallest defender for the Lakers. That's got to be attacked. In my opinion, the Wolves need to just use that size, go big against the Lakers. Jackson Hayes already cannot play in this series. I think Redick knows that. I think he saw that. And how much Jackson Hayes ended up playing all but 9 minutes today. And I don't think he's going to play much in this series because he's just not ready for this moment, it seems like. And he had 5 fouls in 9 minutes. Yeah. So the Wolves, when you take Jackson Hayes out of there, the biggest guy on the court is Rui Hachimura. You have Naz Reid, you have Rudy Gobert, Julius Randle, who played a great game today. Man showed up. Like, you guys got to attack that and attack that the whole time. And it just seemed like this was expected. I thought the Lakers would bounce back. They bounced back. It's an even series. Minnesota still did their job and stole one from the Lakers and have home court now. So they got to hold it down at home. And I do think they will. Honestly, I think game 3, I think the Wolves are going to come out firing. I think they'll make some adjustments, but especially that, you guys got to grab every rebound. You guys you're so much bigger than the Lakers. And I will say this, Luka's amazing. He's incredible. And every time that they get a switch with Gobert guarding him, he exposes Gobert. He can get by him and he can get a layup or he can dish it to somebody else. However, anytime Ant is guarded by Luka and can get by Luka in every possession, it seems like. I was watching that today, and Ant, when he gets the ball, he almost needs to be a little bit more selfish now at this point, because there's a lot of mismatches there for Anthony Edwards. When Luka gets switched on him, Luka, the quickness of Ant to Luka is the same difference in disparity pretty much as the quickness of Luka to Rudy Gobert. And I think that's something that we should look out for in game 3. I think Edwards is going to take advantage of that mismatch a little more. And the Lakers are going to have to try to hide Luka a little bit at that point. And that's been the knock on him. And Nico Harrison, defense wins championships. Yeah, you also still shouldn't have made that trade. However, that is Luka's flaw. And I think the Wolves will attack that. I don't see how they wouldn't. So ultimately, put the ball in Ant's hands, let him go to work, let him abuse Luka on the defensive end. And I think that also will wear Luka out a little bit more. So he's not over here killing y'all on offense. Luka ended up finishing with 31 tonight. And, the second half, I think he got tired. All his shots, all of LeBron's shots were short if you watch that game again. In the fourth quarter, when they couldn't really buy a bucket, they were short. And the Wolves, honestly, just weren't taking advantage of their, great opportunities to cut that lead and put the pressure really on the Lakers when it seemed like the Lakers were running out of gas. So we'll see how this series continues. Game 3 should be, I expect the Target Center to be lit because the Wolves did what they had to do. They're going back home, take care of business, and, they'll be in prime position. But, truthfully speaking, this series is there for the Wolves to take because personally, I didn't see much from the Lakers today that makes me think that they got this in the bag or anything. I still think it's an even series that's going to possibly go the distance. And I think the Wolves can win it. But they just got to take advantage of those mismatches when they have them. And the Lakers, they're kind of solely relying on Luka to do ISO ball and score 31 and go off. And if he's not going off like that, I don't know who else right now can score for the Lakers. Reeves played a little bit better today, but, 16 points, that's great, but he's going to have to go off a little bit more than that if they're not going to be solely dependent on Luka just saving them. So we'll see how it continues. Tough series to pick. Tough one to see how it plays out. But it's 1-1. It's pretty even, like it should be. All right, we'll go to the other Western Conference game, game 2 today with the Thunder hosting the Grizzlies. And I said this yesterday. I said that first quarter will tell us everything we need to know about whether the Grizzlies are here for making this a series or if they're going to get swept. They went 0 for 10 to start the game. So they missed their first 10 shots. It was a 20-point game pretty much by the second quarter. So with that being said, they battled. They didn't just lay down. Obviously, it wasn't a 51-point blowout. They still lost by 19. The Thunder are very deep. This was the game that, honestly, I watched the least of today because it was pretty much a blowout the whole way, and you never really felt like the Grizzlies were threatening to win it or make it a one-possession game at the end. Shea played a lot better today, 27 points, but 10 for 29 shooting. So Shea hasn't even had an effective game yet. And 3 for 10 from 3. Jalen Williams, 24. Holmgren had 20 and 11. He played well. But this is not the Thunder's best game, and they're winning by 20 points. So I just don't see how the Grizzlies are going to do this. If they're going to get a win, it's probably going to be game 3. I think the Thunder are feeling pretty good about themselves. And we'll see. They're a young team, but at this point with the Thunder, it's about can they win the championship. And this is where championship winning teams sense blood and just take it. And so I think game 3, if the Thunder are this is bigger than this series for the Thunder. For the Thunder, this is, are you going to win the title? And game 3, I think will tell us a lot because I think game 3, if they go out and they send a message and they win in another blowout type style and take the fans out of it, obviously they'd have to get the job done and finish it off in game 4. But game 3 is the last hope for the Grizzlies. And I think the Thunder, if they're going to be championship bound, they step on their throats right away. So we'll see. So that's what I'm looking at for game 3. Again, the Grizzlies they're just outmatched. It's not even much that they could do. Jaren Jackson played pretty well with 26 points, but he was a minus 20. He was their leading scorer, and he was a minus 20. Morant had 23, and Bane had 19, and those are pretty good numbers to have. But when you're playing the Thunder, who are as good as they are, you pretty much have to be perfect. All right, the other game, the first game of the night was the Bucks game 2 in Indiana, trying to tie the series up 1-1, and they did not. Dame came back. He looked kind of rusty, as you would expect, coming back from that blood clot. He only had 14 points. He went 2 for 8 from 3, 4 for 13 shooting, 7 assists. So, but this is his first game back. This, like I said, I expect this series to pretty much be everybody wins their home games type of series. I expect the Bucks to take care of business in game 3 when they go back home, Pfizer Forum. Those fans will be waiting for them. I think Dame will obviously play a lot better. He, it was expected. He had this game to kind of get that rust off. And Giannis finished with 34 and 18. 7 assists. The guy can't play much better than that. And he was minus 11, the plus minus. But that's just because they're not really getting much help. Kuzma had 12 points, played a little bit better, but it's not going to cut it. Brook Lopez, 8 points. Taurean Prince, 6 points. Thankfully, Bobby Portis showed up tonight, or else this would have been another ugly blowout. And it's a feisty series. Halliburton and Dame are going at it, but I think, Dame's still a dog, so I expect him to play way better in game 3. Kind of expect him to have a pretty big game, to be honest, to help Giannis out. And the role players play better at home. I think with that being said, obviously the Bucks role players will play better, and I think the Pacers players won't play as well. They got a whole bunch of contributions. Benedict Mathurin finished with 14 points in 17 minutes. So, he played well. McConnell came in as a spark, and the starters just played really well. All those guys. Siakam and Halliburton had good games, but you got 17 points from Andrew Nebhard, and possibly the biggest 3 of the game that kind of closed the door there at the end. Neesmith had 16 points. Yeah, he was a plus 10. So again, the Pacers played well. This is what I expect the series to be. At home, they're going to play great. All right. That does it for the 3 games today. Tomorrow, we got the Magic in Boston for game 2. I think Boston will take care of that game. It might be a little bit closer, but honestly, if Tatum's healthy, I think, Banchero played great in game 1, and I don't know that gets repeated. I think the Celtics will make some adjustments to get the ball out of his hands more, and if that happens, it's up to the Magic role players to play better, and I just think that they don't have that firepower. The Magic have had a tough season with injuries, and they're just missing a couple pieces to actually take that next step. So they're just outmatched with Boston. Miami at Cleveland. This one I kind of expect to be close. So Cleveland took care of business in game 1, but Miami, Eric Spoelstra, we saw it in the play-in. They were the 10th seed, had to win twice to get in the playoffs. They whooped the Bulls. They beat the Hawks in overtime to make the playoffs. Yes, they lost game 1, but I think they'll push the Cavs a little bit tomorrow with some adjustments. Eric Spoelstra is great, but I still think the Cavs get the job done. But I do think it'll be a closer game, and it might come down to the last 5 minutes. And Warriors, Rockets, baby, what a good series. Rockets are favored by 3. I'm a little worried about that line because, it's fair. I think it's going to be a close game. But I think it's a toss-up. It's almost should be a pick-em. I know that doesn't happen in the NBA, but I don't know. I think that the Rockets can win for sure, and I think they'll make some adjustments. Fred VanVleet, I doubt will be as cold in game 2 as he was in game 1, but they really need an offensive spark, whereas I feel like the Warriors will only get better from here, especially Steph Curry. In that last regular season game that they played against Houston, he only had 3 points. Last game, he started off cold, but he kind of figured it out, started driving, getting some easy buckets, and then was able to stretch the floor out for himself and started hitting some threes. I think he's kind of figuring out how those defenders are going to guard him. And so as the series goes on, I kind of expect the Warriors offense to start getting a little bit better. And, the same goes for Houston. I don't think, like I said, I don't think Fred will be as cold. Jalen Green can't have as bad of a game as he did in game 1, but it's tough. The pressure's on Houston. And I think the Warriors have, just like I said about the Thunder, this is your time to put your foot on their throat. The Warriors know this. The Warriors have done it. They've got winning players. They've won championships. That core, even now with Jimmy Butler, has gotten the team to the finals. He knows that. So, unlike the Wolves today, maybe where they kind of felt like, all right, we got the one game we needed in LA. I do not think the Warriors are going to go into this game feeling satisfied. And I think they're going to try to steal game 2 as well. And, just like they did with the play-in tournament, they want the rest. And if there's any way that the Warriors can finish the series off in less than 7 games, if they can, they will, just for that extra rest day that they can get. Again, That doesn't mean I don't by any means think the Warriors are going to sweep the Rockets, but I think there's a sense of urgency with the Warriors, just knowing how the playoffs go, how it can, a series can be extended. So we'll see, but I expect it to be a close game. Maybe Houston does pull it off, but it'll be close. It will be close. So we'll see. I'll try to recap tomorrow as well if I can from a hotel in Denver as I'm performing at the Colorado Avalanche game. But subscribe, leave some comments. I'll keep pushing this channel and try to grow it as much as I can. Thanks for watching.